The one, the only, Kerry Joseph joins us to talk about the passing of Ken Miller and fond memories with the beloved Saskatchewan Roughriders coach. Kerry, first and foremost, when you heard of Coach Miller passing away, what did you feel?
Man, I felt just heartbroken, a sense of loss. My wife actually, I'm in Kansas City right now for our last preseason game. My wife sent me a screenshot from social media. And when I saw that, it just kind of just sat there for a minute, and just started immediately thinking about what he meant to me as a coach, but more importantly, what he meant to me as a man, as a mentor.
What did he mean to you as a player, a coach, and a man?
He was just a ball of wisdom, very, very knowledgeable when it came to the game of football, having the chance to work with him as my offensive coordinator and to play under him and to be around him and Kent Austin and just the knowledge that he gave me as a football player, but then most importantly, as a man, just going through life's journey, how to, just different ways to relate to players, to teammates, to just the way you live your life as a man away from the game of football. He was just another inspiration, another mentor to me that I hold on to dearly.
As a player, Ken Miller was right there with you in arguably your best season in the CFL, that 2007 season where you were the Canadian Football League's most outstanding player and you won the Grey Cup that year, oh, by the way, as well. When you think back to that season and the group of people that came together to win that championship, how integral was Coach Miller? He
was a big piece of the puzzle, being a coordinator and, meeting with him daily. And, at times Kent Austin was in the meeting rooms with us. But when Kent, was doing other head coaching duties and he wasn't able to meet with us, Coach Miller was Ken was the one leading those meetings. And the thing I loved about him and remember about him was he was such a player's coach that we had a game plan. We knew what we wanted to run and how we wanted to attack opposing defenses. But for him, it was always about, KJ, what do you like? It was myself, Darian Durant, Marcus Crandall in that room. But he always gave us the opportunity to speak on what we were comfortable with, what we didn't like, what we did like. And those are the plays that we ran. And the plays that we didn't like, he pulled them out. So just being that player's coach, the level of trust, the belief, and the confidence that we had in each other was just remarkable. And you see the success that we had as a team that year.
Asking you what you liked seemed to work out pretty well because you threw for over 4,000 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions, and you rushed for over 700 yards and 13 touchdowns as a quarterback. How did he allow you as a dual threat QB to be at your best in 2007?
He just always told me to be myself. Ken Austin, they both it was the same. But Coach Ken Miller was always look at me and he say, young man, just be yourself. Just go do what you do. I believe in you. We believe in you. Just go lead us. And he will always lead me with that of just go be yourself. And those are the fond memories that I think about when I think about Ken Miller as a coach and as a person was he just wanted you to go play football, but most importantly, enjoy doing it while you were doing it.
You mentioned him being a player's coach. Can you give us some tangible examples of that during the 2007 season that you might remember?
I didn't know sometimes we wore wristbands. So we had the plays on our wristbands, and we would signal what number we wanted to. And it was times throughout that season that, I would come to the sideline and, I'd go talk to him and, Ken would talk to me first. But Ken had to worry about offense and defense. And then we go out for a drive and Ken Miller said, hey, you want to call the next drive? And I was like, you serious? He said, yeah, you got everything on your wristband. He said, you go call the next drive. So I would actually go out and call a drive from my wristband every now and then. And that's the type of coach he was. He said, you know what you want to run. You believe it. You trust it. Go call it. Have fun doing it. So those moments there that you don't forget those moments.
When you have a coach saying to you that he trusts you that much to call your own offensive plays, How much freedom does that give you as a quarterback?
It gives you a lot of freedom, but it's trust. It's all part of the preparation. Like, we knew as a staff, as a team, that what we wanted to run offensively. And when you feel comfortable and you know that you're prepared for it, he gave us the reins to go out and have fun learning how to call plays as a player. And we didn't do it a lot, but it's just the type of coach he was. It's like, hey, go call it. You know, if you need some help, look to the sideline. We can help you, but have fun doing it. And it was things that we practiced in and we prepared for. And that's just the type of coach he is. And he was.
What do you remember about the 95th Grey Cup with Coach Miller in mind, the 23-19 victory over the rival Winnipeg Blue Bombers?
You know, before the Grey Cup game, I remember this about him, and I'll never forget these words. It might have been a couple of days before I know he was practicing in the Sky Dome. It is Sky Dome.
At the time it was, yep.
Yeah,
you got it.
So I remember him walking up to me in practice and told me that he said, you know, just thinking about the MOP award coming up in the award ceremony. He said, young man, he said, I will say this here. If they do not select you to be the MOP of this CFL season, he said, time will stop. That's what I really think highly about you. And at that moment, I was like, wow, this is one of my coaches saying that to me, that how much he believes in me and how much he believes that I deserve that award. I would never forget those words that's coming from someone that I have a lot of respect for, highly respected across the CFL. And then now, you know, that happens, and then we get into the game, and nothing changed with him. It was, young man, go be yourself. Go lead us. Go help us bring this Grey Cup back to Saskatchewan. And that was him. Calm demeanor. We never saw him raise his voice. He never, even though he might have gotten upset at times, you could never really tell. He was always even keeled, the same person all the time. And he always was that coach that wanted to hear from you coming off the field. Before he even gave you his opinion, you got the smile, the little smirk that he gives, and he wanted to hear from you first before he added any corrections or anything that he needed to add. I'll never forget that. And he did it up into the Grey Cup. And, you know, in the Grey Cup, I didn't throw the ball well at first. But I remember Ken Austin told me, and then Ken Miller told me, he said they're playing a lot of man coverage. He said, but they forgot about you. He said, so if they want to play man and nobody's open, hurt them with your legs and go get what you can get. And I think I ended up rushing for over 100 yards in that game. That's the type of coach he was.
What do you remember about the play call and how it all came together for that critical fourth quarter touchdown pass to Andy Fantuz in that 95th Grey Cup?
I don't remember the exact play, but I know that we had Andy on an option route where he can go break in or he can break out depending on the leverage of the DB. I remember because of the man coverage, we kind of ran a little switch release to kind of gain the leverage on that play. And I remember Andy breaking in. And once he broke in, I remember throwing the ball to him and him making a couple guys miss and really getting the ball into the end zone, which was a huge play for us at that critical moment in the game. And, you know, Andy Fantuz was one of those guys. He was smart. He understood leverage in the game of sports, in the game of football. And you knew that if a DB was outside, he was breaking inside. If the DB was inside, he was breaking outside. And we came up with the name for him early in that year was Andy, we call him Andy Freelance Fantuz. You know, hey,
who came up with that? Was that Coach Miller?
I don't know who came up with that name because he did that. Like, we had a play call. He was supposed to go in, but he didn't. I'm like, Andy, why you didn't go in? And he said, well, the DB was in there, so I went out. So we like, oh, smart play. So it happened to us early in the year, and when came up with that name.
I love it, man. What do you remember about Coach Miller and celebrating that 95th Grey Cup win with him?
Just a smile. You know, he had that mild look on his face, and he would always look at you, and you waiting for him to say something, but he would just smile. And you get that, good job, kid. That's all you would get. You wouldn't get a lot, but you knew that deep down inside of him, the love, the care, the nurture that he had for you as a person. You knew that, and you felt it from him every time you got the handshake, every time you got the hug. You knew that about Ken Miller, that he was there to be your best partner out there on the field as your coach.
What's your favorite or forever memory of Coach Miller from either that season or your time together in Saskatchewan?
I think just from that season, I'll never forget what he told me at the Grey Cup at practice about winning the MOP award, because he just showed me how highly he thought about me as a person, but also as a player. You know, to say that if I wouldn't receive that award and they would make a mistake and not give me that award that I earned, that time will stop. And like for someone to just to tell you that, it's like, wow. You know, I still kind of get a little goosebumps when I really think about what he said, because he meant a lot to me. Because, you know, with my teammates, the coaches, the fans, everybody that was around me, to accomplish the things that I was able to accomplish the things that we accomplished as a team that year, you know, Ken Miller was a big part of that, and I'll never forget that week of the Grey Cup.
That year, you won the CFL championship, you were the CFL MLP, and you were the CFL All-Star quarterback. In subsequent years, you went against Ken Miller coached teams as he was on the sideline for the Roughriders. What was it like to go against Coach Miller as a competitor?
You knew that that team was going to be prepared. You knew that they were going to come out and play good, hard-nosed football, because you knew that guys were going to love to play for him, and they were going to do whatever they needed to do to try to bring a victory home for Ken Miller, because he was that player coach. So when he took over as the head coach, which was rightly deserved, you knew that team was going to be competitive week in and week out. So you had to be ready to play from the time the first ball was kicked off to that last horn that was blown at the end of the game.
Did he ever say anything to you after a game where you beat his team?
Nah, you know what? We always just shook hands and always told him how much I loved him, and always told him thanks. You know, every time I had a chance to tell him thanks, I would tell him thanks, because I'm just forever indebted and grateful for the opportunity to play for him.
And over the years, Kerry, how much did you keep in touch with Coach Miller?
I kept in touch with him sparingly. You know, probably every couple of years, I would reach out, say hi to him, or I would reach out to him when I saw him on social media and just send him a message. You know, if it wasn't me speaking to him on the phone, it was me sending him a message and saying, you know, what is, his birthday, wishing him happy birthday, and just telling him, no, hey, coach, just checking on you, thinking about you, just wanted to say hello. Just those moments where sometimes you get so out of touch with people, but you still connected, and you just take the time to send a message to them means a lot. So, I mean, since probably within the last 5 years, I know we've probably touched base 3 or 4 times.
You're on Coach Miller's kind of side now, where you're the quarterback's coach for the Chicago Bears, mentoring quarterbacks, namely Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick in the 2024 NFL draft. Do you draw on any of your teachings from Coach Miller in the present day when you're coaching with the Bears?
I do, because I think number 1 is about partnership. It's about caring. It's about loving the guys that you're coaching. The game of football is easy to come across and to coach, but it's also about building those relationships. That's the thing I think about Coach Miller when I think about coaching now, is about how can I build that caring, loving relationship, to know that the guys that I am coaching, they know that I'm there for them and for their success, the success of the team, and to be able to pour out everything that I have inside of me into them, whether it be football, whether it be how to help them continue to grow as a man, life experiences, things that we talked about in that quarterback room with the Riders. Like I said, myself, Marcus Crandall, Darian Durant, we all still good friends, and we still think about just those conversations that we had in that meeting room with Ken Miller. it's the things I share with the guys that I coach now, and just helping them be the best professional athlete that they can be to accomplish everything that they set out to accomplish.
It seems like from watching on Hard Knocks that you have struck a great balance between professional approach, but making it fun as well. And the reason I say that is because of the slip and slide that you brought out with Caleb Williams to help him get better at sliding. Where did that idea come from?
Well, it was done to me when I was coming up in college, and when you're out there in practice, you don't really get a chance to do it, and so you have to be able to put the slip and slide down, and you don't have to worry about anybody hurting themselves, and you just learn how to do it. I was a baseball player, so it was a little bit easier for me. Where you got people that like Caleb didn't play baseball, so sliding is not natural. Now we get a chance to cool off in the sun, but also really get some fundamental work on guys sliding and protecting themselves, because it's very important in the NFL game that you have to protect yourself. So the idea came up, the head coach was on board with it, and we made it happen. And you see it in the preseason games, quarterbacks are sliding. For me, it's a business. The NFL, pro football is already hard to win. It's a hard business. It's a lot of pressure. So how can you find that lighter side to know that it's still a game, that we work our butt off, we prepare, we mentally, physically to go out and perform at the highest level, but we don't lose the perspective of it's a game that we've been blessed to play, and we've been blessed to play this and have fun doing it. So I try to keep that balance with the guys I coach to make sure that we're working our butts off, we're working to be the best that we can be, but also we're enjoying each other and enjoying the moment.
There's a lot of hype around Caleb Williams, and rightfully so, being the number one pick. How do you approach and handle that as his position coach?
You know what? Everybody has expectations, right? Everybody else's expectations is not our own expectations. So everybody has a right to an opinion. Everybody else's opinion does not have to be our reality. So I just always tell Caleb, tell other quarterbacks, hey, we stay even keeled. We know what we want to get done as a group. We know what we want to get done as an individual. We know what we want to get done as an organization. You quiet the noise on everybody else's expectations, and we know what our expectations are as a group and what we want to get accomplished. And I just try to continue to remind them of that. I had to do it as a player. I got to Ryderville. It's a lot of expectations, but the only thing that really mattered was me putting forth my best foot to help the team succeed. One play at a time, one game at a time. And that's so I just try to make sure I interject into these guys of, pressure is everywhere in the world, but how you handle the pressure. You apply pressure, you don't let pressure be applied to you. And I always remind our guys that.
Can you see any parallels between playing in Rider Nation and the Windy City? Both cities love their football and live, breathe, sleep, and eat it.
I haven't been here long enough, but in the short period of time that I've been here, you can feel it. You can feel the excitement of the fans at training camp. You can feel the buzz in the city. Our organization has done a great job putting a tremendous football team together. But just not only that, when you walk in the building, when you're out in the streets, you can kind of feel the buzz. And it was the same way in Saskatchewan. Like, you knew that football meant a lot to this city, and it feels that way in Chicago.
You've thrown for over 4,000 yards in the CFL. You know how to get it done. There's a lot of talk about Caleb Williams potentially being the first Chicago Bears quarterback to do so. Does he have that kind of a skill set to be able to do it in his rookie year?
I just said this here. He's talented, very talented athlete, very talented football player. We just going to take it one day at a time. We're going to take it one day at a time, working our butts off to be the very best and try to get 1% better every day. And then at the end of the day, we're going to see how this thing falls out. And that's how I was as a player too. We chase purpose, not results.
Well said, Kerry. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing some insight on your time with Coach Ken Miller and also what's going on with you. And then now, Coach Caleb Williams in with the Chicago Bears. We wish you the best of luck this season.
Appreciate it. And I want to say this also, Miss Maureen Miller and the Miller family. My prayers, condolences goes out to you all. Love you all. Love that family. Everything that you all meant to the Joseph family, to myself, to the Riders. Just know that you all are in my prayers, and I pray that God gives y'all peace and strength in the coming days as y'all know that Ken Miller will be missed.